excited now to welcome our guest, Marilyn. Marilyn, you are our current governor's counselor for Woburn and are running for re-election. We're thrilled to have you here today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. You've served on Governor's Council for a number of time now. We really appreciate everyone who serves. It's such an important thing for us. I think a lot of people don't really understand a lot about what the Governor's Council does. As you're reflecting back on the time that you've served, tell us a little bit about what that's been like for you and what we might learn from that experience.
Do you want to hear about what we do? I think it's being misrepresented what our duties are. I really would like to say that. First of all, we are not legislators. We don't vote on abortion or gun control or any of those things. We vote on people, actually, and it's mandated by the Massachusetts law that that's what we do. So the governor will present the nominees to us, and we vote on judges, clerk magistrates, members of the parole board, industrial action board, appellate tax board, people seeking commutations, pardons, justice of the peace, and also we do vote on, which is very important, the weekly state warrant, millions of dollars. And so really, I think I really want people to know, because they're being misled about the duties, and we're not legislators. We're not legislators. We don't vote on abortion. We don't vote on gun control, and we vote on people. And it's an awesome responsibility. So why did I run for governor's council? First of all, unfortunately, people don't know what it is. And I have tried, let me just say, I have tried over the 25 years to go out in the district and explain. And also, I created the first ever website for the public to see. So it tells you the 8 councilors, the district we have, commissions and boards that we appoint, and the judges. But it also, which is important to me for the people's right to know, it shows who the governor has nominated and when we're going to have the hearing. So why did I run for governor's council? Well, what happened was I had a friend who was in a very dangerous relationship, and she had a restraining order against this abusive boyfriend, but it wasn't working. She went to court 7 times. She was seeking help from a judge to put her boyfriend in jail. So the 8 times she went, my late husband was a firefighter, and he had a police officer friend, and he went with her. And he said to the judge, she fears for her life. Give him a $200,000 bail. The judge gave him a $200 bail. He turned to my friend, and in fear, she paid it. Then the judge said to my friend, you have been wasting my time, and you've been wasting the court's time. A week later, my friend was dead. Her abusive boyfriend murdered her. It made such an impression on me that I wanted to know what I could do. So I learned, and I learned how the judge got his job, and I learned what the governor's council does. And I looked at all the duties and I said, I can do that. And there'll never be a judge like him in my watch. And that's how I ran.
I'm very sorry for your loss and for that situation. That's unfortunately a circumstance that happens too much in our community. This is a big burden and this is a big responsibility, and decisions like this get made in part how we select the people to hold these roles. How do you know enough?
Can I just say one thing?
Sure.
The point that you're bringing up too. We don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball. So I don't know 5 years, 10 years, 15 years from now what that person will do, whether it's a judge whether it's on the Industrial Action Board, whatever, because they're all important. All of those positions are important because they affect you or someone in your family or someone you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's really what I wanted to ask you about. So you don't have a crystal ball, but this is a big responsibility. So how do you do your best? How do you get to know those candidates and make decisions about whether you're going to support their candidacy or not? What are some of the things you think about when you're sitting in that council and helping make that vote?
Well, I am the only working full-time counselor. And in my 25 years, I have met every nominee from parole board to judge. I investigate, I vet, and I meet with them for hours. And in that conversation that we have, I bring that to the hearing and I will have, so I can share it with the public and with the counselors. I will say to the nominee, tell us about that case that we talked about, or tell me your opinion on this. So that's what I do. But and so then the next week on a Wednesday, we meet with the lieutenant governor, and that's when she chairs the council. She doesn't come to our hearings or vote at the hearings. So she calls a roll call, and that's when they vote. We vote on that person. So that's the procedure. But to me, it's so important to have someone that has the qualifications, that has the experience. And you know what? I won't vote for anyone if they don't show compassion. And that's the thing that I'm concerned about in the court, because I know now there is racial discrimination in our courts, and I fight it. And I have a wonderful relationship with this governor, and she supports me for commutations. And that's what we're doing. And I want to continue to do that. I go out and I meet with inmates. These are Black inmates, wrongly accused, wrongly sentenced. And I want to identify them so that they can get the release that they deserve. And so I think that's very important. And because I'm full time, I'm not in a courthouse, I'm not doing, this is what my job is, and that's what I'm doing. So I feel that's important. I didn't have this with the Baker administration. We haven't had commutations and pardons. One of the things, one of the things that when I first was elected was the parole board. And I was very concerned about it because the parole board is mandated by Mass General Law to have certain social services on in the membership. And they were prosecutors and they were former police officers. So the parole rate, I looked at it, was down 30%. So I worked hard, led the fight for it. And you know what? We now have a forensic psychologist. We have someone that's an expert in addiction, social worker. That's what it should be. And we got our paroles are going up, the release for paroles. But I want to tell you what my goal is. We need 2 more people on the parole board. We have 7 members, and I'm working with advocates who agree with me. We need 9. The reason is these 7 people are really working as hard as they can. They're going from the Cape to the western part of the state holding hearings. As a result, we're not having the lifer hearings that we should in the pardon hearings. And so if we could have 2 more, and we could have them in the western part of the state, we could be doing due justice for the people who are waiting. And so that's really one of my priorities that I want to do. I don't want to do all the talking. I think you should be asking me questions.
It's all good. I appreciate the context, and your passion for the work that you're doing shines through, and that's very helpful for us. Now we know that the primary for this position is very important because it will effectively determine who wins the election. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you know what? It's a day after Labor Day. and it is really under the wire because, for example, I'm the only one that has opposition on the whole in Watertown in the whole ballot. So as a result, they're not getting calls, they're not seeing signs, they're not getting, they're not being lobbied. So as a result, it is the lowest turnout. And that saddens me because it is so important to have people to come out to vote. So I know from past experience, when it is a presidential year like this, people, the average person votes in March for the presidential. So they figure, I'll vote in November. So because they're not hearing from anyone, because the congressmen and the senators and their local reps and so forth are not opposed. So there's no campaigning. So guess what? Now, the only campaign I think in Massachusetts that's going on September.
Well, you know what? Then we'll hopefully get lots of people to come out. The good news is there's a lot of early voting options for people. So if they are going to be away for the Labor Day weekend, there's really not an excuse not to vote. They still can get out there and do that. And I know the Woburn City Clerk's office is working really hard to make that as accessible and easy for people as possible. And there's lots of different options. So hopefully we'll get a good turnout.
I have to tell you, I love Woburn. And, when I go out to the events, Pride Day, Mayor's Day, or whatever, it's just been it's so welcoming. And you have the greatest mayor. He's kind, he cares. And at every event, I see him. He's there from beginning to end, engaging people. I have to say that. I don't want to embarrass him, but he's a good guy.
He is, and I feel very lucky to be able to have the role that I have. Because the community outreach and communications role is new with this administration, so I definitely see firsthand the participation in government that he helps lead. So I'm thrilled. If he were sitting next to me, he'd be blushing a little bit, I think. But
I know,
but
but
we are grateful.
and I can say it as I sit in my room alone here.
Well, I'm really glad you joined me this morning. I appreciate it very much. I would love to just get a sense from you of anything else you want to share with voters, things that you want them to know as they get ready to make their decision over the next few days.
I'm asking for your vote to continue to work for you. You are being misled that we vote on abortion and gun control. We don't. We only vote on people. We're not legislators, and it's mandated by the Constitution of Massachusetts. Please don't be misled, and please let me continue to be your voice on the council. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.